With a quarter-acre of land, you can harvest 800 kilograms of potatoes, 500 kilograms of green vegetables, and 4,000 eggs, totaling over 2 tons of food annually. This level of production can provide 80% of your family's necessary food supply. This video will give you the strategy to achieve exactly that. Every week, I share grounded insights on organic gardening and intentional living. Hit subscribe to ensure you're getting authentic, earth-first advice you can actually trust straight to your feed. First and foremost, it is essential to understand that 80% self-sufficiency refers to 80% of your energy needs and vital fresh foods rather than producing absolutely everything. An average adult requires approximately 2,000 calories per day. Consequently, a family of 4 needs roughly 8,000 calories daily, which equates to nearly 3 million calories per year. While leafy greens are excellent for health, they contribute almost nothing significant in terms of caloric energy. If you only grow cabbage, lettuce, and herbs, your garden may appear lush and abundant, yet you will remain dependent on outside sources for rice, noodles, and tubers. A common mistake among small-scale gardeners is focusing too heavily on leafy vegetables while forgetting that energy is the fundamental pillar of survival. To approach a high level of self-sufficiency, one must master a calorie strategy, which means prioritizing high-starch crops such as potatoes, sweet potatoes, pumpkins, and corn. For instance, 1 kilogram of potatoes can provide about 700 to 800 calories. With a few hundred square meters dedicated to starch crops and proper care, the annual yield can realistically generate a substantial portion of a family's energy requirements. If you allocate 400 square meters to staple starch crops like sweet potatoes, cassava, and corn, your harvest could reach 800 kilograms to 1.2 tons per year. This volume of food provides approximately 1 million calories, covering about 1/3 of the total energy needs for a family of 4. Furthermore, implementing classic symbiotic models like the 3 sisters, corn, beans, and squash, helps optimize nutrition and space naturally. The corn provides a trellis, the beans fix nitrogen in the soil, and the squash leaves act as a living mulch to retain moisture. The remaining requirements are supplemented by eggs, small poultry, seasonal vegetables, and perennial fruit trees. Self-sufficiency does not mean growing everything. It means growing the right things in the right proportions. Once energy strategies are clearly defined, the next step is spatial planning. Most traditional gardens waste significant space on unnecessary paths and gaps. If the goal is to increase yields on a modest plot, a shift in organizational mindset is required. Crops can be arranged in staggered patterns to maximize area utilization, rather than being planted in straight, widely spaced rows. As the foliage grows and covers the soil, it provides natural moisture retention, suppresses weeds, and protects the underlying microbial life. Do not view the ground solely in horizontal terms. Every square meter can be multiplied by its height. Cucumbers, beans, and squash can climb trellises, with light shade-tolerant vegetables growing beneath them and perennial fruit trees towering above. By applying multi-layered thinking, the plot's area is no longer just 100 square meters, but is multiplied through its vertical structure. Furthermore, rational zoning determines labor efficiency. Frequently harvested vegetable beds should be placed near the kitchen door to reduce travel time, while starch crops can be situated further away as they require less regular maintenance. Perennials and poultry areas should be arranged into stable outer belts. Good design does not just boost production, it conserves energy, as human labor is the true limiting factor of a household. Try applying the 7-layer structure of a food forest. The first layer, the canopy, consists of large fruit trees such as apple, pear, plum. The second layer, the understory, features lower fruit trees or large shrubs like lemon and papaya. The third layer, the shrub layer, includes various berries and pigeon peas. The fourth layer, the herbaceous layer, is made up of leafy greens and hardy perennial herbs. The fifth layer, the ground cover, comprises creeping plants like sweet potatoes and pennywort. The sixth layer, the rhizosphere or root layer, includes taro, ginger, and turmeric, which utilize the shade to accumulate starch. The final layer, the vertical layer, consists of climbers like butterfly pea, passion fruit, and loofah, taking advantage of vertical space on fences or large tree trunks. In this way, on the same coordinate, we can harvest not just one type of crop, but 3 to 4 different kinds of food at various heights. Once the forest matures, the yield of fruits and nuts can reach between 500 kilograms and nearly 1 ton per year. However, a garden is only truly sustainable when its soil is alive. If there is a constant need to purchase chemical fertilizers, it means the garden remains dependent on external resources. The core of a self-sufficient system is soil rich in microbes, fungi, and earthworms, where organic matter is transformed into natural nutrients. Instead of viewing kitchen scraps, dry leaves, or poultry manure as waste, regard them as black gold. When properly composted or processed into compost tea, they become a vital source of energy that regenerates soil fertility through every growing season. To optimize this cycle, we should incorporate nitrogen-fixing plants and apply the chop-and-drop technique, using the garden's own stems and leaves as mulch to replenish nutrients on site. Collecting rainwater and rotating small livestock like chickens and ducks to control insects and provide manure all contribute to creating a relatively closed biological loop. Of course, this system is not perfect from the start. There will be seasons of pest outbreaks due to an imbalance in natural predators, periods of prolonged rain leading to waterlogged roots, and times of drought that cause plants to wither. Risks also arise from the buildup of soil-borne pathogens if the composting process fails to reach the standard temperature, or the invasion of weeds when mulching is neglected. Even errors can stem from miscalculating density, planting too many leafy greens in the first year while lacking starchy staples for the dry season. These failures are not evidence that the model is flawed, but rather an inevitable tuition fee paid to adjust ratios and operations. Building a closed-loop ecosystem requires patience and meticulous observation, as being overly eager to achieve total closure can lead to burnout before the garden even begins to self-regulate. In addition to weather fluctuations, one must be mindful of 3 internal risks that can weaken the system: cross-contamination, nutritional imbalance, and management pressure. Specifically, if rainwater or kitchen scraps are contaminated with external chemicals, a closed system will inadvertently trap and accumulate these toxins over successive seasons. Relying solely on a few types of on-site compost can also easily lead to a deficiency in essential micronutrients like boron or zinc after years of cultivation. Finally, this model is not for the superficial. It demands that the gardener truly understands biology to coordinate the system, rather than mechanically applying fertilizer according to a fixed schedule. Sustainable yield does not mean exhausting the soil year-round. Instead of continuous planting, we need rest periods for the soil to regenerate through cover crops and microorganisms. Many worry, what will we eat while the soil is resting? The answer lies in multi-layered canopy design. While the low-tier vegetable beds are being restored, the high-tier perennial fruit trees and livestock continue to provide a steady food source. This is the intelligent compensation that helps us maintain stability even during the most volatile periods. A key yet often overlooked element in a closed-loop system is preservation capacity. Without a proper storage strategy, we fall into a cycle of wasteful surplus during peak harvest and severe shortages during the off-season. Smart preservation is the key to transforming a seasonal garden into a sustainable food bank. Instead of relying entirely on electricity-intensive refrigerators, take advantage of traditional yet scientifically sound methods. Root crops like potatoes, squash, or carrots can maintain their freshness for months when buried in fine sand or wood ash, which helps control humidity and prevent moisture loss. For leafy greens and vegetables, don't stop at traditional pickling. Apply microbial fermentation to both extend shelf life and enrich the food with health-boosting probiotics. Herbs and mushrooms can be freeze-dried or solar-dried to retain their full medicinal properties. Do you have any other useful preservation methods? Please comment below so that I and everyone else can learn from you. The roadmap to achieving 80% self-sufficiency for your garden is not a race, but rather a strategic process. To avoid burnout and early failure, This journey should be divided into 3 distinct phases, each with its own specific focus. In the first year, set a modest goal of 20%, focusing entirely on short-term vegetables and protein sources from poultry eggs. This is the foundation building phase, where you learn to work with the soil, establish an IMO, indigenous microorganisms composting system, and observe sunlight patterns and wind flow to adjust the landscape. Moving into the second year, as the soil begins to come alive thanks to the organic mulch layer, you can raise the self-sufficiency level to 50%. The focus now shifts to adding starch crops like sweet potatoes. This is also the time to invest in rainwater harvesting systems and moisture retention trenches to reduce maintenance labor. A vital note is to begin keeping a farming journal to identify pest patterns. By the third year, once perennial fruit trees begin to bear fruit and food preservation systems are operating steadily, you can confidently approach the 70 to 80% threshold, which amounts to approximately 2.5 to 3 tons of various foods per year. At this point, the garden is no longer a collection of disjointed vegetable beds, but has become a self-operating ecosystem with a closed-loop nutrient cycle. However, the key consideration in this mature stage is remaining vigilant against external cross-contamination risks and maintaining biodiversity so the system does not collapse in the face of extreme weather fluctuations. The final result does not appear overnight. It is built across every planting season through persistence and refined observation. Self-sufficiency is not about turning one's back on the modern world, but simply about creating a food reserve for one's family. We gain peace of mind through the work of our own hands and by knowing how to nurture our land. It is the result of intelligent design, persistent labor, and the belief that the soil beneath our feet, if properly cared for, can become a solid foundation for the long-term autonomy of the entire family. Thank you for watching the video. If you found it helpful, please share it with your friends. See you in the next videos.